that's just over the top.
Absolutely true.
Thank you, caller. Good to hear from you. Rick in Texas, you're on the air with Alex Jones and Joel Skousen. Thanks for calling.
How are you doing, Alex?
Good, brother.
Listen, Joe, Alex, you probably won't remember, but Joe, you might. Back in 67, 68, the Rolling Stones came out with a album called Satanic Majesty's Request. And there was a song that they did called Symphony of the Devil. Now, back in those days, in that psychedelic rock thing that was going on, and I remember because I was right in the middle of it, you gave your soul up. And what you did on acid, you listened to these albums, and, I mean, the Beatles, there was Crystal Blue Persuasion, all these groups back then, you would get a reward. And when you gave your soul up, I never did. I couldn't do it. But,
by the way, John Lennon began to criticize it and say it was a satanic conspiracy. I've heard the recordings. I ought to play them here. I mean, they're out there, and that's when they went and killed him, from my view, was when he started turning against him. But definitely out there that's going on. I mean, most of the rock and roll and music, I don't think that's what's going on. But definitely some of those groups are on record saying that's what they were doing. Let me get Joel Skousen's take on that.
No, I completely agree with the caller. The Rolling Stones have had considerable documentation about the satanic and occult connection. But almost any of the great, whether it's from the Bee Gees or the Beatles, have had their boost from some unknown source that really ties in there. And it's not very obvious. You can't prove these things by ordinary biographies, but the people who knew them and were close to them have been able to document that something happened once they made a pact and went forward and rocketed to success. And part of it, of course, comes from the satanic inspiration in driving both words and music.
Satanic inspiration, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we're talking about. Rick, thank you. JD in New Mexico, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Thanks for the time, Alex. I actually have a question aimed to Joel, but I would love to get an answer from you as well, Alex. I'm a believer of the post-tribulation rapture. I was wondering how he feels if we're in the tribulation as of right now.
I actually do not. I think the tribulation becomes much more horrific later on, probably after this nuclear preemptive strike on American military would get us into a global new world order. And the globalists give an order that we need to lock up those people who believe that we were responsible for this war or responsible for 9/11, lock up conspiracy believers. I think constitutional conservatives and conspiracy believers will be the Jews of World War III, and that's where the real serious tribulation against real fundamentalist Christians who believe in truth take place.
Powerfully said, because all the real preparation, not just here but worldwide, is not for radical Islam. They're funding that. It is to go after people that will not, endorse abortion and endorse death and sign on to Satan.
And I think the Savior has to come really to save the world that is almost totally under the grip of Satan, except in pockets of resistance, which are probably crying day and night for deliverance.
Yeah, does that answer your question, caller?
Do you believe that the rapture is going to be post-tribulation?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, a 5-year-old could read the Bible. I mean, I'm sorry, and see it says that. I mean, the beast wages war on the saints and overcomes them. I mean, it's right there that there's a war and you get persecuted. All these churches are state-run that tell you you're going to be teleported out of here, folks.
Visit GCN Live.
Joel, you've already done 2 hours. Let's put bookends on it, 5 more. Stay with us. From the water table to our soils to the atmosphere itself, our world is becoming more and more toxic each and every day. But it's not just the air outside that's toxic. Indoor air has been shown to have 2 to 5 times higher concentrations of pollutants than even outdoor air. And most Americans spend 90% of their time inside using toxic chemicals within their homes. There are more than 42 million smokers in the United States. Well over 1,000 types of mold and mildew linked to numerous conditions. And don't forget the fact that 6 million Americans live with pets they're allergic to as well. When I began to research these statistics, it was clear to me it was time to start cleansing my lungs in order to combat the toxic environment that we cannot escape, but that we can fight back against. Made with organic and wild cultivated herbs and manufactured in the USA, the new InfoWars Life Lung Cleanse is here in a convenient spray bottle that can be brought with you throughout any toxic environment. Now available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
Coast to coast, direct from Austin. You're listening to the Alex Jones Broadcasting Network.